So my name is Jack Bourne. I'm the founder of Deadline Funnel, and I'm talking with Jonathan Rivera, who is the king of podcasting. He's also involved in a lot of other cool sideline businesses, so Jonathan and I have known each other for several years. And a while back, he was helping a mutual friend with a podcast, and so we started talking about Deadline Funnel, and that was really his first exposure to using Deadline Funnel. And I just found out a few minutes ago that he's using it in some really, really creative ways. So Jonathan, thank you for being here. And let's go ahead and dive in and talk about how you're using Deadline Funnel.
Jack, thank you for having me here. Everybody who tunes in, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we can maybe share a tip or two that are useful for you. But I got to correct you. I actually have been using Deadline Funnel for a much longer time than that. I used it in my real estate business first, and then I added it into the marketing business. So when we started talking about that stuff for that podcast, I had already used it before, but with an older account, and I started a new account because I'm like, I know how it works, and I know that it works, and I'm excited to see which different ways I can make it work for me.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you corrected me, because I definitely want to talk about the real estate business. Let's start there. Let's go in sequential order. So most of the people that we talk to, like our typical client, is someone who sells an online course or something digital. And so there's a ton of great applications for that. We've interviewed a lot of successful entrepreneurs and given some really insightful case studies, but I'm really excited to talk about how it can be used in real estate. So how are you using it in this non-marketing, non-IM way? Why don't you share that?
Well, I wouldn't say it's non-marketing. It's heavy on the marketing, but it's not necessarily the way that we would think about this IM world. And that's actually one of the biggest hurdles that you're feeding into one of my big problems. You make good software, and I love buying software, right? So one of the problems I've had as an entrepreneur coming up, and it's been 13 years or so that I've been out on my own, was just making sure that I'm using the right tool at the right time in the right place. And so what I did when I first got online is I started just learning all this stuff, didn't apply any of it, and my results were delayed for many, many years, to the point where I almost quit, because it was like, why doesn't this work? I'm following all the brightest, shiniest objects. I'm buying all the softwares and I'm investing in all this stuff, but I'm not doing anything. And so I had a mentor who helped me out, and it's Darren Persinger from the Making Agents Rich show. And he actually just woke me up. He's like, you got all these skills, right? You got this copywriting, you've got this marketing, you have internet skills that you can put stuff together online, and you're sitting around playing games here trying to sell $7, $15, $25 products, and you're letting your real estate business sit on the sideline. Why are you doing that? And I'm sitting here like, I don't know why I'm doing that. That's a damn good question. Why am I doing that? So I turned around and used all the stuff I learned online from guys like Ben Settle with daily emails, guys like you with the deadline. I took all that stuff out of this internet marketing world and plugged it into a real brick and mortar business, which is my real estate business. And I started using email marketing. Obviously, I was already running ads, so I knew ads before that. Then I added email marketing. Then I learned about scarcity and coupons, and we'll talk about all that. And I started seeing immediate improvements in that business. And see, while internet marketers are playing around trying to sell under $100 and spending all this energy on that, I'm over here on this side selling $700 a month subscriptions, right? Because that's what a rental is. It's a monthly subscription on the land where nobody else even does this stuff. And so it's kind of exciting when these old school people that are trying to compete against me in the rental market see what I'm doing, and they don't understand it, because I'm light years ahead of them by taking all this IM stuff and applying it to a real business. Now, did I ramble on too much there?
No, you touched on something that I wanted to ask you, because we were talking about the real estate business, but obviously that's not specific enough. So I just want to be clear. Is your business modeled around a buy and hold type of strategy? Like you buy rental units and then you rent them out as the landlord?
Yeah. So that's really what we have is rentals. And so I've learned a lot working in the rental business, and I've learned that there's like a 30-day cycle where your leads, if they don't convert in 30 days, they're probably not going to convert at all. And I've learned that the timeline to talk to them is much quicker, where you might be thinking of nurturing somebody online for months. For me, it's like 2 weeks, because most people are looking to move between now and the next 4 weeks or so usually. So learning all that stuff and all those little nuances has been interesting, and then figuring out how to work that into the marketing that we're doing.
Very, very cool. So I'm dying to know, how do you use deadlines, and specifically deadline funnel, in your real estate rental business?
All right. So I told you that I've had some good mentors. Ben Settle, mutual friend of ours, is one of them. And so that's actually where this whole turning my IM thing to IRL, right, in real life, is what I'm calling it, bricks and mortar. The first thing I thought about was Ben, right? Ben taught me to write daily emails. And so that was the first piece I plugged into the business. I plugged in daily emails. It's an email a day for 14 days. And then it's like a Dean Jackson 9-word email like 7 days later. Are you still looking for an apartment, kind of thing? Because I know that that timeline that we talked about is shorter. So the first thing I did was the daily emails. I was already running ads on Craigslist. I was already running ads on Google pay-per-click. So that's my traffic source. They're going to my website, which my website is like bare bones, just like, here's some information, here's where you opt in. And then I went and got some 1920s influence. I forgot who it was. I don't know. Anyways, I started adding coupons to the business, right? So everybody out there competing against me is like, first month, last month, security deposit, your left testicle. They're asking for everything. They're asking for everything for you to move into the apartment. And so I saw an opportunity there where I said, well, security deposits suck. All right. And this is a real estate lesson, and people are going to just crap when they hear me say this, because with a security deposit, they're it's so complicated, because you have to keep that in a separate escrow account. You can't touch that. And then when they move out, you have to have a checklist of what's coming off that security deposit, and you have to do the accounting for that. And then you have to return the unfinished portion. And if you use it all, they're pissed at you because they were counting on that as a savings account. And so in my mind, security deposits complicate things. So I came up with a coupon that said no security deposit. That's all, right? I'm just turning the idea into a coupon. And people were like, whoa, no security deposit. Oh, I got to use this. I got to use this. But that worked for a while. And it worked really well for us. I mean, in fact, it's still working to this day. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we still use that no security deposit special. What we did was we added a twist, because we wanted more people calling quicker rather than sitting on the fence, and making sure that we were getting the phone calls, because we need phone calls so that we have appointments, so that we can close deals. And I think it's like that in most any business. So what we did was we added deadline funnel, or me. What I did, right? I'm going to take all the credit. Jack helped me by providing the software. But what I did was I added deadline funnel to it. So I didn't like that sometimes people weren't responding right away. And when I found out about your software, I'm like, kind of interesting. Maybe I can do a little twist on this coupon to increase that urgency that they have to use it. Oh, shit. And I also used AW Pro Tools to make all this happen too, because you used to own that one too. So I'm using all your stuff, right? So I started doing the first email where I dropped the coupon. I put a deadline funnel on it, say you have 7 days to use this coupon. So now it's not only that they have a coupon that's saving them $700, but they have a very limited time to get that $700. And so when we added that to the front, phone calls just start coming in. Hey, I got the coupon. I want to come in. People just acting totally differently than the nonchalant, I lost my coupon people. And so we've kept that in the mix with a deadline for 7 days. And then their coupon goes from, it's 700 now. It goes down to 350. So they really have an incentive to use it in those first 7 days. And people come in with that thing printed up, like, here, I don't want to run out of time. Or if I called you, will you just mark it down so I don't run out of time? Stuff like that, that I never really, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
That's, that is just awesome. That is really great. I did not, before we had this conversation, I did not know that you were doing this. And this is just amazing to hear about. So I know that this isn't really the point of the conversation, but my curiosity, I got to go in this direction. So how do you, as a landlord, protect yourself? You know, that's what the security deposit's for. You're going to paint the house or whatever. I mean, how do you mitigate that risk? Is it something you just build into the rest of your financial model?
Yeah, so it's a way of looking at it. First of all, maintaining a separate account and maintaining accounting for all that, there's a cost to that for us as business owners with the bookkeeping, with managing that, with having that on the side. It just, to me, it's annoying stuff. And when you do this long enough, you're going to realize that your security deposit doesn't cover much. Like for instance, if we took the whole $700, just the carpet alone would cost that to replace, not the appliances, not the paint, not the light fixtures. So it's really such a small little thing that it covers that I don't think it is a big risk to us. Now I could be wrong, but so far I've seen it work out for us. What happens with the way that we have our funnel set up based on kind of scarcity, exclusivity, because we only have so many units. We only have one available right now, and we have a bunch of people applying for them because we have marketing, we have new leads coming in, cold leads, we have referrals coming in, we have renewals coming in. So with all that stuff, it gives us a larger pool of people to choose from. And what it has done for us in our place is help us elevate the game, right? Because if somebody uh, is not of high quality, right, they're going to probably ruin the place. But when you get more and more applications, you get to say, all right, these are our standards. These people meet or exceed the standards, and then you choose the best one. So we start looking at more applications, and we see this guy's been at his job 23 years, been renting his apartment for 16 years. Yeah, I don't think there's a risk there. We're going to rent to those people that are really well established. I mean, we look at everybody that meets our criteria, but we have so many candidates come in that we get to choose the best. If that makes sense. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
That's me.
So you have better lead flow. You can be choosier, so you mitigate your risk that way. And also, I would, from what I've heard, your one of the biggest expenses in that business is having a unit sitting unoccupied, and so
Right.
you reduce the time that it's unoccupied. So that's brilliant. Very, very cool. Before we switch to your digital enterprises and podcasting and those sorts of things, is there anything else that we haven't covered about how you're using deadlines and coupons in your real estate business, or should we move on to the digital?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of having a real world value and having something that is something that they can lose for real. Like, you know, paying no
Mhm.
security deposit versus paying 700 is a big impact on middle class income. So making sure that you have some scarcity in place around something that actually matters, you know,
Yeah,
that's probably a key in why this works for us.
beautiful. So why don't you talk about your podcasting business or anything that you want to in terms of how you're using deadlines in your digital marketing?
So a couple ways, and let's see. Let's start off with the geekier way, right?
Okay.
Because I'm gonna give you credit because you and Anthony and your team and all that stuff, you guys are in that little bottom corner anytime I need help box, like, come save me, I don't know what's going on. So you guys have awesome support. So it allows me to do weird things with this software. And so one of the things that I was testing out for the last couple months is I run the podcast factory. We do podcast production, products, all that kind of stuff, help people build their authority. And I don't have any info products. I don't have any low ticket stuff, so to speak. So my whole close is let's do an application. Let's find out if you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you and I can help you get the results you're looking for. And I do that all by application and phone call. So not very techy, right? And so what I wanted to do was figure out how I can integrate a deadline because I know how powerful they are in my real estate business. And I know that people won't get up off their ass unless they have a hard deadline staring down at them and they have to make a decision. And so I wanted to integrate deadline funnels into my process. And so my funnel is very uncomplicated. you hear about me and you think you want to get a podcast done for you, you go to a page, you get on my waiting list, right? Because it's not always open. It's not open. It's definitely not open the day you sign up. I can guarantee you that, right? But I wanted to do a rolling, like a rolling type of thing. And so what I figured out was by using a webhook with deadline funnels and my autoresponder that I could have a 7-day deadline. So that way I could open it up once every 7 days and give them a countdown, right? So I don't even know how to explain this nerdiness. You guys walked me through all of this when I was setting it up. But somebody signs up today, it's Tuesday or Wednesday. By Friday, well, they get hit with the webhook. So the countdown starts in the background. They don't even know it, right? And so by Friday, I'm saying, all right, so Monday, I'm going to take applications, be ready. Tuesday or Saturday, it's a couple more emails, applications opening up Monday. Sunday, hey, applications opening up on Monday. And by the time they get there Monday, that's the page where they first see the deadline. And depending on where they signed up, it's only going to be a 7-day deadline. So if they signed up 7 days ago, the scarcity is this thing's closing today. If they signed up 4 days ago, they still have 3 more days. But they're forced into that zone of thinking, all right, I signed up for this. All right, time is counting down. Am I going to take action on it? And it has increased my close rates, like, because I need to increase my prices, I think, because my close rates have gone up. Because it used to be like a 30% close rate, and lately I'm running at like 50 or 60, right? And so I think that prices need to go up, but that scarcity and forcing them into making a decision has been really instrumental in getting more applications and getting me on the phone with more qualified people.
Awesome. That's fantastic. By the way, give out for anyone who wants to start a podcast, why don't you talk a little bit about what the Podcast Factory does, give out your URL, and just give a short little, I'll call it a commercial, but just tell people why, like what sort of needs you fill that aren't currently unmet if someone doesn't go with you.
Yeah. So there's tons of people that do podcasts, and I encourage you to look at all of them. That's fine. What I do is I work with busy business owners who don't want to build teams, who don't want to get into the tech stuff, who just want to get their ideas out into the world as simply as possible. And so what we do is we plug our team into their operation. We help them have a podcast, get all that stuff done for them. So all they're doing is talking into a mic. We're taking care of the rest, and then they get to market it. And so if you're busy and you want to get your message out there, but you don't want the learning curve, that's kind of where we help. And we usually work best with people that are established. Like, you have to have an email list, you have to have products for sale, you have to have a marketing budget, because it's easy for me to help you amplify your results. But if you have no results, there's nothing to amplify, plain and simple. And you can find out about me at thepodcastfactory.com. I
like how you got extra close to the microphone to make sure that came through nice and clear.
I'm a pro, you know that? That's what I do.
Yeah. The phrase that I always love from Perry Marshall, from my years at Perry Marshall, is he would say, "You can't steer a parked car." And so in the same way, I tell people all the time, so look, Deadline Funnel is going to amplify whatever you have going on. But if you've got a bad marketing and a bad product and you're not communicating it right, it's not a magic bullet. It does some incredible things, but it's not gonna take something that's DOA and breathe life into it.
No
okay. So besides the podcast business, and that's another interesting application, because that's still outside the normal realm of what our typical client does. Like, our typical client has someone who comes in and it's actually the way that you're applying it is pretty similar, because I've interviewed other people like James Schramko who do rolling launches and things like that. So, but I kind of get the sense that there's yet another business under the Jonathan Rivera umbrella. Is there another application for how you're using Deadline Funnel?
Actually, not even another business, but maybe closer to what people are doing. And so okay. I'm about to get all cliche on you, but high ticket sales, right? That's the thing. High ticket. I sell high ticket. Right. All right. So let's talk about high ticket. Okay. If you're doing stuff like that, like our packages start at $3,000 and 600 a month, and then, and they go up from there. So that's probably high ticket. One of the things that I've noticed is when I get on my sales calls, because you won't find anything on my website about what we charge, what we do, or any of that stuff, because I need to talk to you to make sure that you're a good fit and we're a good fit, or else I don't want to waste anybody's time. But there's what I found in these calls is there's usually about 2 or 3 things that people need. And actually, I got this. I don't know if you've talked. Did Igor Kafetz have you on his show? I don't know if you've talked to him yet.
I think we talked, but I don't think we've connected yet.
Anyways, he sometimes he schools me because I co-host a show with him, List Building Lifestyle, and he's another Deadline Funnels user, by the way. But he's like, you gotta give people something. Like on the sales calls, I used to not do it, right? On the sales calls, it'd just be like, this is it. Is it a fit or not? And that's it. But he's like, you got to give something that you can take away to help motivate them. You have to have some sort of scarcity there. And I didn't really do that in the beginning, probably because I was charging really cheap and people would always just sign up like, oh, that's it. Yeah, here you go. Take my credit card. So that's probably part of it. But as I went raising my prices, things changed. My numbers changed a little bit. And Igor told me you got to have some sort of takeaway. So what I figured out is, in most of the people I talk to, they either want to build their authority further by using the podcast and leveraging that. And so they probably want to get interviews done or guest booking or stuff like that. Then there's people that are looking for leads. And so they might be more motivated by a bonus of perhaps me helping them create a mini product to help them get their opt-ins. And then there's another person. Every once in a while, I get flexible on this. It's very rare. But if somebody's got a little bit of a price sensitivity, sometimes I say, well, that's the trigger, right? So if somebody wants interviews, I offer them as a bonus, sign up the next 24 hours, and I'll hook you up with 1 month of our podcast splits. Somebody wants the mini product thing or wants to come up with a product, sign up next 24 hours, and we'll do that. So I took it to the price sensitive people because I felt like they needed more motivation. And every once in a while, if they're referred to me by someone who has my old pricing and has given it away, sometimes I'll get close to that or honor it. And what I do is I have a deadline link. So after the phone call, I do a follow-up, your podcast show, and I recap the conversation because I'm just sitting there taking notes when I talk to people. So I recap our conversation, their goals and everything. And I say, seems like maybe I might be able to help you make this decision a little bit easier. So here's a link where if you sign up, you'll save 30%, let's say, right? 30%, but it's only for the next 24 hours. So they click the link, they get hit with my deadline funnel cookie. And there it is right on my Samcart page, countdown. And as soon as it disappears, the price goes up. I have the second page set up for full price, right? After they're done with their countdown. And that has been working interestingly for me. I don't like to get too many price sensitive people, but like I said, when it's a referral, I will be a little more flexible because that's a better deal for me. I'm going to have to pay for that lead. And it's been working for me quite interestingly to see people like, tripping over themselves to give me money. So that's kind of a fun application as well.
That's awesome. Let's finish up with. Would you be willing to talk about how we kind of work together with Kevin Rogers? I know that you said there's numbers that you can't share or you don't have yet, but can we talk about how you were planning on using that with Kevin Rogers, one of your clients?
We actually used it, and we used it for a very short time. We didn't get to run it that long because we changed up the way we were doing things. But the way it was set up is similar. And actually, I think that's where this is where I got the idea. When you gave us the idea of using it for Kevin like that, that's when I took it and I implemented it into my rolling deal, which I'm talking nerd talk. None of this shit makes any sense if you're following along at home, but it's fine. So the way that we did it was Kevin has Copy Chief, a forum, a community that you can join, monthly membership. I think it's $100 a month or something like that. But what he does is he keeps it closed and he only opens it up 3 or 4 times a year, something like that. So we were trying to figure out how we could get more action from the podcast. Mm-hmm. And when we were all sitting around at that table, you helped us come up with the idea where we were going to go ahead and give people 24 hours to sign up for Copy Chief by following the URL we gave on the show. It was a special URL. Go to this URL, skip the line at Copy Chief because there's all these people waiting for the doors to open. You have 24 hours to join. And it actually was working like from podcast to sale, right? And that's something most people can't do.
Right.
And it was because we had something of real value, just like I told you, the coupon and saving money off that, off the security deposit was real world value. These people couldn't get into Copy Chief, and now they had a 24-hour window. They already knew Copy Chief. They were interested in Copy Chief, or they wouldn't be listening. They probably know it's closed, and when they hear that call to action on the show, they go there and they're hit with the deadline, like, join now. You got 24 hours, because if not, it goes away and you can't get in and you're back on the wait. So it's like taking the velvet rope, unclicking it, you coming in. And we made some sales with that. We actually directly from the podcast started making sales. I wish we could have run it a little longer to get some more data, but it did work.
That's great. Awesome. Jonathan, this has been really enlightening. Very, very enjoyable to hear you talk about all the different ventures that you're in. I want to have more conversations with you offline about how you're running your real estate business. But for right now, I want to say thank you for your time and sharing how you're using it in your various different enterprises. Why don't you, if you could, lean back in towards the microphone and make sure everyone heard the podcast. Podcast.
It's right here. Let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Thepodcastfactory.com. And if you like Jack and you like the way that he thinks, a lot of the people that he hangs out with, a lot of his contemporaries are over at the Podcast Factory. We're just waiting for Jack to come on board. But marketing, closing sales, all that kind of stuff, you can go there and listen to shows. We have something like 15 or 20 shows there that you can listen to right now. 15 different hosts talking about different stuff. Thepodcastfactory.com.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right. That's a wrap.